you want, and you have voted. This time, the discussion is about the medicine wheel. So, we're going to talk about not just what that is and what that means from the perspective of different cultures, but also what it means for you and how you can use the medicine wheel as a teaching of balance in your own life. I'm Kat Rambo, your medicine woman, and this topic is what you chose. And specifically, we're going to talk a little bit about a request from Miss Emma, who said she wanted to learn more about using the medicine wheel in a personal ceremonial way for protection. So that'll be there too. So stick into the end if you like this type of content. Um, Send me a question. I can see your questions. I always go back and respond to them. So if you're seeing this video after it's live, then feel free to leave me some questions and comments. I love to respond to them. I'm here for you. So whatever it is that excites you, just let me know. If there's a topic that you like, feel free to put it in the bottom too in the comments. And the Facebook group is where the poll happens for the vote every week. But if you don't want to participate in the Facebook group, there's also a WhatsApp community now that's growing, full of really cool people, all there to support each other on the path of growing. All very multidisciplinary, which is a lot of fun. So let's hop in. Let's talk about the medicine wheel. So first, what is that? It's a symbol, right? So it normally looks like, I drew one for you, this. Sometimes it's this way, right, with a little X. But it's usually a circle with a cross inside like this. So this is an ancient symbol that shows up in shocking similarity all around the world to represent many things. So it often represents the north, east, south, and west. It represents the different phases of life, right? Birth, life, old age, and death. It represents different aspects of self. It's usually filled with different colors depending on your tradition. It also, hi Emma, hola, ¿qué tal? Your octopus. It also usually has representative totems such as animals, like I said, in colors, and it all depends on their tradition. So we're going to hop a little bit around the world and talk about how this shows up in different traditions and how we can use it to apply to your life. So if anyone who's ever done any type of coaching or ceremonial work with me knows that I pass all of what I do through this medicine wheel because this is a map. It's a map that can show you how to reflect on different aspects of yourself. And there are actually 5 directions here. So we use this map to represent the different aspects of self, which are body, mind, emotion, and spirit, right? Or in whatever order you like them. And the center is integration because this whole hoop is your personal container. So the hoop represents your universe and your life and your world and your reality. And the center point is where balance happens, integration. Now remember, balance isn't a single stationary point, it's an oscillation. So in my programs, we spiral around this loop many times. For example, in my coaching program, we spiral this loop twice. And then, of course, circle back to integration. And the idea is you start out here in an outer awareness and you circle inward and inward and inward to find your balance. And sometimes that means you look at just one piece of the pie and focus on this weak part. Sometimes you look at another piece of the pie. Sometimes you look at all the pieces of the pie. But the idea is to use this map to find balance. So for example, Miss Emma, you've been focused very heavily on your spiritual side, right? Well, it's time to start focusing on the body side, which represents the material world, not just the physical body, but material form in general. So that's life, and it's also your actions, and it's also the material world around you because we need material resource to live as well, right? So you're in a position now of integration, which means you're rebalancing your own personal medicine wheel, which means you're moving from just focusing on the spirit quadrant. You've been doing a lot of mind and emotion work too. It's time to go back into the physical world and use what you've learned to grow in this other quadrant, right? So let's explore this a little bit. What does this really mean? So the mind side is mental wellness, right? This is often what's going to inform our emotions. Sometimes we feel like we have an emotion and then we create thinking around the emotion, justifications, reasons, excuses, making sense of things, right? But usually it starts in the mind. A thought occurs and then the emotional information is a result. I think about the future too much and I start to feel anxious, right? And then we cross over into the body. So the information moves bottom down. So in the body, we'll experience that like our hair falling out or our heart racing or our skin breaking out or any other symptoms of high cortisol, gaining, losing weight, um, doing crazy actions, right? When we get freaked out. So that's a physical reality. This also, when we get stressed, we tend to notice that in our relationships And we tend to notice that in our flow of money and the way work moves. So there's lots of other ways that that happens. We start making sloppy mistakes. We stub our toe. We get into a car crash, things like this, because we're not balanced, right? The spirit aspect is the most elusive, but no less relevant and important, but also needs to be in balance as well. And this is the aspect of our system that usually seems a little bit, though more elusive. This is really like our energy system and how we're interacting with the aspect of self that is of a higher perspective, right? So this aspect can also influence all of these. Whatever you do in one quadrant is going to affect all of the other quadrants anyway, right? So there is no way to solely isolate just one, but we can. So for example, we look at practices like yoga. So yoga is, and I think by this point in the modern world, we're all aware of what yoga really is. It's not just a gym class, but it is very physical. Sometimes it's just physical exercise, which is great. But yoga is also a process of breathing and focusing and moving meditation. Hola, Derek. um, and so this emotional aspect of self that we move through in our yoga practices, we can use the body to help move stuck emotions and energy and memory stored in the body. But that's also an emotional process, isn't it? As much as it is mental as well. So maybe it'll help us focus, calm our mind, and relax, right? This is a mental process. And then also a spiritual one, because it helps us connect with the Shavasana. It says it's the hardest pose, the corpse pose at the end, sitting in stillness. This helps us leave our body a little bit and access that aspect of self that has insight, inspiration, wisdom, intuition, all of that good juicy stuff. So anything, hablas español. Sí, estoy viviendo en Chile ahora. Hola en español. Hola. Y sí, usamos este diseño en el Sudamérica también y usamos eso con animales diferentes, pero representa la misma cosa. Por ejemplo, in North America, the north sign is usually symbolized by the buffalo, and it represents the north wind and perseverance, because the buffalo, thanks Emma, I'm working on it, the buffalo turns his shoulder towards the cold north winds and the snow and waits, because he knows that the snowstorm will pass. And this is a place of holding still and experiencing like wisdom and perseverance and introspection. It also represents the final part of life, where we're learning all the wisdom we've gained in life, and we're slowing down, like in our old age and in death, where we learn more about the internal environment and start relying less on action in the world. Pero en español, en Sudamérica, este animal usualmente es un colibrí o picaflor, dependiendo de tu lugar. Y este también representa sabiduría, porque el picaflor mueve por la vida con gracia, ¿sí? Con felicidad, con libertad, y también representa sabiduría. So depending on where you are, ironically, the different animal totems, whether it's a hummingbird or from South America or the buffalo in North America, what you get is representation still of wisdom and grace and perseverance, because while the buffalo stands with his shoulder against the cold north winds and knows that if he stands strong and grounded, that the winds will pass. In the South America, the hummingbird, if you don't catch the Spanish, is about living gracefully and moving lightly through life. And it's the wisdom of joy, right? And of beauty and of freedom. So still it represents wisdom, right? So each of these quadrants have a learning in them for us. And the deeper you dive into your personal medicine wheel and study the medicine wheels of other cultures, the more deeply you can access balanced wisdom. So for example, let's, in a lot of my work, we talk about the body, mind, and emotion and spirit parts, right? But we can also talk about how this, sobre qué hablar. Gracias. Estoy aprendiendo ya. We can talk about how this represents the different phases of life. So the east would be the rising sun, right? The sun always rises for us in the east. And so this is new beginnings, right? This is also birth and childhood and learning and openness and the energy of exploration and absorbing information. But by the time we get to the south, our middle point of life, or youth, perhaps, then what we're doing is we're being really active. We've taken what we've learned and we've started maybe starting to work. We've started getting creative. We started to learn what our talents and skills are and what we like to do. So it's a lot of action energy, a lot of mistakes, a lot of learning things. But by the time we get to the later part in life, we're starting to slow down a little bit because we know ourselves, we know what we do, we know we don't have to work as hard and output as much, and we don't have as much outward energy. We start to have a little bit more inward reflection. By the time we get to our old age, we are looking more internally. Cuando estamos viejos, estamos mirando más interior para ver quién somos y qué va a pasar cuando when we die, cuando la muerte viene, ¿qué vamos a hacer? ¿Y qué va a pasar? ¿Y dónde va la alma? Where does the soul go after we die? And so we're looking a little bit more introspectively. So we can look at this and say maybe it's not just the part of life we're on, because we constantly are circling in through this. Are we in a period of learning? Are we in a period of doing? Are we in a period of introspection? Are we in a period of standing in our strength and in our knowledge? So what is the phase that you're in? Because we're constantly cycling through this. You don't have to be a young child to be in the phase of child mind, like the Buddha says, to be open to learn, right? To be open to new information and to have that energy and excitement of absorbing new ideas. So we're constantly cycling through this. And the question is, are you constantly in this part? Are you constantly in this one? Are you constantly in introspection, but you're not really creating or doing anything with that knowledge and wisdom? It's very nice for yogis to want to just sit on the mountain. Guilty. Hello. I've been there, in my yogic days, to want to sit in the mountain and do my practices and be in my stillness and my meditation. But then what? Can you maintain that when you're walking through the city street and going to work? How are you contributing to the world at large? We're community beings. So we need that too. So where are you balanced and not balanced? And what I love in one of my coaching programs, especially in the Red Road program, which is all about like expansion and mastery, we actually, and in the White program too, which is about learning, healing, and growing, right? We make our own personal medicine wheel with our own personal totems that are representative and meaningful to us. So that way we can track what we're doing in our life and how we're progressing. So we can use colors, animal totems that are representative and meaningful and special for you. And you can fill in this map however you want, because it's different all over the world anyway. And this is a sacred practice. This represents something highly personal. And I see sometimes people hanging them, in their rearview mirror in their car, not really knowing what it represents. But it's kind of like wearing a cross, but not really knowing what it stands for. It's a little bit empty, right? And maybe a little bit inappropriate, depending on, your belief structure around spiritual perspectives. So it's useful to look at this map and determine in each of these aspects, where are you well? Where are you needing the biggest leap? Where are you struggling the most? Maybe you're a highly spiritual being. You're doing everything right in your life, but mentally you're not so hot and you're still working through trauma. Your relationships are kind of cagada, like a little bit messy. And maybe, your mental health is struggling a little bit, even though you feel motivated and strong and on the outside you look really great, but maybe on the inside, not so much. Or maybe are you really a high achiever? You're super productive. Your relationships are great. Your mental health and emotional well-being is great, but you feel like something's missing. Well, maybe your spiritual aspect is asking is inviting you in for a little bit deeper dive to find that fulfillment, to find that place in the universe, to find that deeper understanding of self. So we can use maps like this to explore our own inner aspects. But there are many ways to work with this. Another way to work with it is with the directions and shamanic practices, in shocking similarity all around the world. We call in the directions, and in some cultures there are 4, and in some cultures there are 7, right? But we can use this as a 3D map, turn it this way, right? And see our directions around us, and of course the above realms, the lower realms, and of course the center point, the center of your universe. So where are you balanced in each of these directions? If the east represents your new beginnings, are you starting something new? Or maybe you should be. Are you refreshing that curiosity to learn and grow? Or do you feel like you already know everything because you're wrong, right? You're always wrong. And if you feel like you have nothing left to learn, this is a very sad place to be. But if you feel like you are on the west side and you're looking at the spirit gate and saying, well, I'm at this point in my life of giving and extending, but maybe I'm like not doing that very well. Maybe I'm just constantly learning, but I'm not really like giving out into the world and creating from my own lens, right? So maybe you're lacking somewhere in that lens, or maybe you're forgetting to have fun, right? The North Gate is a lot about a joy and wisdom. And what's the point of wisdom if not to know how to live very well? So, are you happy? Are you enjoying your life? Are you having fun? Are you going out just to play? Play is important. Play is about creativity and expression. Are you dancing? Canta, canta, baila. Disfruta la vida, right? Enjoy yourself. Or maybe you're forgetting to have patience and perseverance, right? And if you're looking at this three-dimensionally and you're looking at the seven directions in the north, I do a whole course, a whole workshop just on really connecting with the directions and learning how to call them in and use them to balance yourself and to find your place in the center. You know, the above realms talk about the higher self, the celestial self, angels, God, Great Spirit, AETs, other interdimensional energies, elevated consciousness, you know, gamma state, whatever you like. The below realms, this is our shadow work. This is our subconscious. This is our primordial self. This is how we're connecting to the process of creation and destruction. Sometimes things must die in order to be reborn. How are we dying and rebirthing ourselves all the time? And of course, you're the center point. You are always in the center. And are you the center of your life? Or have you committed yourself to caring for others at the loss of caring for yourself? Because you cannot give if you have nothing to give. So you must take care of yourself. Is this where you're imbalanced? So we can use maps like this to look at this and say, what am I doing in each of these quadrants to make sure that I'm cycling through this? As a river is stagnant, and those who live in Florida have seen lots of stagnant water. What does it look like? It's green, it's hairy, you know, it smells weird, you know, it's fetid maybe, you know, it's not healthy. Pero cuando fluye el río, es azul, tiene vida, it's full of fish, it looks really clear and pretty, it sings, right? It bubbles along the way. So it's important to keep your river flowing, just as it's important to keep your blood, your internal rivers flowing and your energy flowing. It is important to be flowing through your medicine wheel. And there are many, many, many ways of looking at this and deep diving into this. I love to do with my clients a 12 aspect diagnostic. And, you know, each of those broken into seasons reflect some aspect of this medicine wheel too, and have home in each of these places. So it's a beautiful way to self-evaluate and use this as a map to guide your next steps. Wow, okay, well, I've been I'm really focused on my spiritual aspect and learning. Well, maybe it's time to start doing. Maybe it's time to start playing. Maybe I need to like rebalance into the body self. Maybe I need to take care of my body a little bit more focused in a way. Maybe I need to go out and express myself in different ways to see how that's like for me now as being the new person that I am, especially in the ceremonial work that I do. I always recommend going out in the world and just being. Go meet people, go to the gym, go to an art class, go do something you wouldn't normally do, and just practice being a human being on earth, because ultimately all the learning, all the growing, picking on you. Absolutely, Miss Emma, always. You know why? Because I'm always so proud of you and impressed with you. You are constantly learning and growing, and you're doing a very good job of constantly integrating. You are moving around your wheel very well. And so this is why I harass you a little bit, because I love you the most. I do. I love you. Beach dance tomorrow night. Yes, go dance, go express, just go be Emma being a beach dancer. I love it. And just have some fun and see, okay, who am I now that I've done all this learning and growing? What am I like? Because we're constantly evolving and we're never really going to know really until we get out in the world and practice being. You know, they say that the fastest way to find out how healed you really are is to get around your triggers. That's usually a parent, a sibling, a child, a partner. Partners will bring up the worst and the best in us because they're there as our sacred mirrors to show us how far we've really come. So I know I love you, baby. Yeah, I love you too, Emma. Little bird, I know you just recently had a family experience and you saw a lot who you've really become, because when you were faced with your triggers, you thought, okay, wow, I'm responding differently. That's how far I've grown. That's how far I've come. That's how much I've healed. That's who I no longer am, and this is what I have to work on next. We're always chipping away at something, right? So this medicine wheel is really powerful. We can use it to call in the directions. We can use it to map our current progress. We can use it to see where our life is unbalanced, if we're feeling unfulfilled or maybe chaotic or stressed out, how to find that balance again. And sometimes that balance looks like focusing only on one section. If we've been doing a lot of mental health care and we've been doing a lot of emotional, working on ourselves, EMDR, or whatever else it is that you've been doing to help you with your emotions, and we've been working out and eating right and taking care of our body and doing all the things and working and sharing in the world, but maybe this spiritual aspect has been lacking for a long time. Maybe the correct thing to do to regain balance is to become unbalanced. Moderation in all things, including moderation, right? That maybe it is time to focus exclusively on one aspect and allow that imbalance to create a bigger balance so that this wedge isn't a tiny little sliver, it's a whole balance. And so you can draw this map according to, this is what I love to do with my clients. We draw this map according to how you're showing up in your life. Maybe your map looks, I'm going to draw one for you now. Maybe your map looks like this according to your behavior. I'm doing all of this stuff at work. My career is expanding. I'm working my ass off. I'm doing great. I'm going out in the world. I'm doing the things, right? I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm eating right. But like this aspect looks a little skinny, right? Maybe it's time to refocus over here and expand that a little bit. And it's not just about our internal environment, it's about our external expression. So maybe internally, we're really focusing on the spirit stuff, but it's not really showing up in our life anywhere. We're not really doing the things. We're not really doing love. We're not really doing compassion, though we think about it and we meditate on forgiveness. Are we doing the actions of forgiveness and care? So this is a really good way to see, to draw one for your internal environment and two for your external behaviors, and to see where in your life you're really showing up, whether your internal environment is mirrored in your external environment or not. Like maybe you've been doing all this mental health stuff, but you're still easily rattled, triggered, and pissed off. Is it in your life? Is it working for you? Like, is it going anywhere? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe the internal work has yet to express, but it's coming. That's cool too. But you can use this map to see, does your internal environment and your external environment balance? Are they in alignment, right? There's so many ways to look at yourself. You can also use this map to explore prayer. On a deeper level. To me, prayer just means alignment, right? An energetic alignment. You can use this map to learn to work with plants, right, Masema? You have to do the things with the plants. You sit with them, you meditate with them, like you work with them, you grow them, you hold them, you cook with them, right? But then and you study them, right? You do the mind part, you study, you talk to them, you learn all about their qualities and what they're useful for and what they're not useful for and how they grow and what they need. And then you do the emotional part where you start building an emotional relationship with them, and then you move to the spirit dimension where you start to form this deeper understanding on a more existential level about what the representation of that plant is for in your life and what it really means for you and how you're growing as on account of the relationship with the plant. So you can use this in your relationships. It's a phenomenal tool, and I love to use this in all of my work and all of my coaching sessions, all of my teaching. We move through this whole thing to remember balance. And remember, the most important part is here. It's you. It's the integration in the middle. As you're cycling through these, how are you learning and applying each of these? What's going on in this section that's really needs to bleed over into this one now? So this is a really great tool. Miss Emma, you did ask about using the medicine wheel as your own source of protection. So there are lots of different traditions that do this. And a lot of the reasons that in many traditions, male or female, you wear skirts for ceremonial work and for study. So if you're in, for example, an initiation process and a study process, you may be wearing a uniform, right? A skirt. In the Santeria tradition, you'll see those who are initiating will be always in white, right? And they can't do certain things. They can't go certain places because you're in that process and you're maintaining your energy. So it's about maintaining your energy. So how do you do that? So the skirt, you're in the center, and the hoop of the skirt creates your own hoop around you. So when you call in each of the directions, you call them to empower and balance this hoop so that the circle isn't like this. So it's a whole circle, right? Or so your circle isn't like this. That's not really helping you. Maybe you're not watching your back, right? Or maybe you're not looking ahead. Maybe your hope is missing, right? And so you open up your faith a little bit and help can balance this hoop. And so this creates an energetic limit or barrier around you as you're learning to maintain your energy, especially in spiritual traditions, or especially when you're working with others. You need to maintain your own energy and you need to stay in the center point. So are you sliding to one side of your hoop? Or are you in the middle of it? Are you maintaining balance in all of these aspects of yourself? And the hoop as a visualization can remind you, okay, as I walk forward into maybe action, right? I'm walking with the backing of all of my wisdom. So as I'm walking forward, am I carrying my wisdom with me? Right. And to the left and to the right, maybe this is giving and receiving. Maybe this is male female energy. Maybe this is action and receptivity. Maybe this is learning and teaching. Maybe this is expression and understanding and receiving information. So, this is a really good way to think about how you can stay in the center of your hoop that you create with the skirt that you wear. And it doesn't have to be a skirt that you wear. It can be a visualization that you use. A lot of, yes, you were right. A lot of people use the bubble of protection, especially when you start doing things like energy work. This is a really great primary resource for people who feel like they need it. There are many ways to do the bubble exercise. I usually graduate my clients, even pro energy workers, from protection to transmutation, right? Using the bubble differently. But you, as you get a little bit more mature in your practice and a little bit deeper into the nuance of it, you use your hoop, which can be a physical skirt that you empower with boundary energy. And as you learn more magic traditions, you understand how to empower articles, amulets, right? So you use your skirt like a talisman, like an amulet, and it causes an energetic barrier that's physical around you. It's physical, but it's also representative for you. So it's about remembering, like, where are you in your hoop right now? Are you standing over here? Is it all like this? Like, make sure your circle is whole. So this is all about maintaining your own balance, and in that you have strength. So a chair that only has two legs falls over easily, right? But a chair that has three or four legs stands strongly, right? So there's strength in the shape itself. It is said that the circle, the sphere, is the strongest shape. Maybe it's a triangle, depending on what your tradition is. So um, the the strength of the shape also reinforces the space of the energy. It creates a physical shape of your energy. So this helps you stay balanced in it. And lots of different teachers and practitioners and traditions have lots of ways of looking at this. But I'm really into representative magic because what's in you is with what's outside of you. So it's good to remember that shape, and you can wear your skirt this way, facing forward, or wearing an angle, however it is you like. Or maybe what you're doing is you're in a process of learning. So you're walking forward into wisdom, but how you have behind you is what? The action energy of moving into learning, right? So you can adjust this shape however you want and however it suits you. Maybe you need to have perseverance behind you so you can move forward into openness with strength and security and stability. Or maybe you need to be walking into new beginning energy and maybe destruction and new beginning energy, death and rebirth energy. And behind you, you have that like strength, of solidity and balance. So the shape itself also creates a sacred geometry. And these sacred geometries have information. So you're creating a field, a matrix around you of sacred information and intention in order to help yourself stay balanced and also to reinforce your energetic limits and boundaries around you. As you're walking forward, maybe you're saying, well, I'm going to put joy on my left side right now because that's on the north. That's what I want to receive is grace and joy and play. And so I'm going to put that on my left side. Well, what does that mean about what's on your right? What does that mean that you have to be in giving of right now? So lots of different prayers will, especially the Mapacho prayers that I like to share. There's something in my channel about working with Mapacho, which is a sacred tobacco. It's about a prayer. I think that I put the prayer method in there that you can use with a pipe, or you can use with a rolled tobacco, or you can even just use with loose leaf tobacco like an incense. It doesn't need to smoke it, right? It's wonderful as an incense. It's very heavy to move energy. It's very strong medicine. I work with that a lot in a lot of my practices. In fact, I just came from a candle service, used a lot of tobacco in that one to move a lot of stuck shit. So it's a very powerful medicine. And it doesn't have to be tobacco. You can use a sage. You can use whatever you want. It's representative magic. You do what you want. If you work with plants, use plants. If you don't work with plants, don't use plants. Use a stone. Use a rock. You like crystals, great. Do that. But then maybe you think about like how you're balancing wearing them. Are you wearing a crystal here? Do you have one in your pocket? What's on your left and what's on your right? And how are you maintaining balance and stability with that geometric that you inhabit? Because remember, you are also a physical form, which means you have a vibration, and vibration creates shapes. You ever see videos of how they put like sand or flour or something on top of a speaker, and they play different frequencies on the speaker, and it causes the particulates to coalesce into certain patterns and shapes, we're also doing that. This is part of the reason the voice is such an important part in sacred medicine traditions. And I won't dive too much into that because that is not the subject of this talk, though you know how much I love this topic. If it is something that interests you, go ahead and leave in the comments or hop into the group, either the WhatsApp or the Facebook, and hop into the poll and throw it in there if that's a topic you want to talk about, is sacred sound and medicine music, if you like those topics. So I don't see questions. So this is a long live. They're usually supposed to be 20 minutes. We're at the 30-minute mark already. So I am constantly asked for personal updates. So personal update, what's going on? I am open for a couple new clients with my 10-week program. Also one-off sessions. Also I've been doing a lot of readings, and they've been going awesome right now. My psychic antennas are on point right now. So if you want a reading, hit me up. And we can use the tokens or throw bones or whatever makes you happy. I have a really beautiful obsidian mirror I've been using a lot, so we can do readings. I am open right now for clients for a little while. I am still in the south of Chile. I'm currently at the northern gate of Patagonia, and here in a few weeks the penguins will come back. So I'm going to go and take a little boat to an island where it is the only place where these two different penguin species roost together. The Magellan and the Humboldt penguins gather together. So I'm going to go see them. And maybe there's be some whale watching involved too. There's humpbacks down there in Orca. So I'm really excited about that. So I'm going to be adventuring here a little bit. But in the meantime, for the next probably week, 2 weeks or so, I'm going to be open for clients. So now would be a good time to reach me. And especially if you're interested in learning to use this medicine wheel, we can take just this section out of the program if this is something in particular you really want to work on, and do just a session around the medicine wheel. I would be willing to do that if you tell me you saw the video and I said you could. But normally it's part of the program, right? Because it fits into a flow, the 10-week flow that uses this map in many deep, nuanced, and layered ways. This is a great way to look at penguin. Yes, penguino. Me encanta lo penguino. This is a great way to develop deeper and deeper relationships with yourself, with the universe, with life, with the plants, with friends, with partners, with whatever, with your own goals, right? It's a wonderful way to map out goals and see how it is that you are working on your goals. You know, are you all action without like clarity and focus? Are you just busy, doing stuff, but not really seem like you're kind of like paddling upriver a little bit? Well, maybe it's because you're not in alignment energetically. Maybe it's time to focus your mind better and get more clear on what action steps are really going to create the biggest gains for you. So how are you feeling emotionally? Because that's also going to cause success or failure, right? Is an important part of achievement. So we can use this map for all kinds of things. And I would love to show you how to work through it yourself. If that's something that you would like to do, hit me up, right? Hit me up. And we can do a phone session that way. So I love exploring this medicine wheel, whatever totems or colors you use, whatever tradition you follow. Such a thing exists in many places for many reasons, because it is something about primordial wisdom that shares with us these maps that we can leverage in order to accelerate our own happiness in life. If you know, that's the biggest question. How do I know if I'm spiritually evolved? Well, are you having fun? Are you happy? You know what I mean? If you're like all meditation, no fun, what's the point? You know, the point is to live well. So, you know, you'll regain greater spirit consciousness after you die. But like, what are you doing in life then? What's the point? So are you having a good time? Are you having fun? Are you happy? Are you excelling? Are you fulfilled? Are you moving towards your goals? Or do you know what your goals even are? Do you know what you like? Do you know what your gifts are in life? Do you know how to leverage them and how to expand in them? And if the answer to any of these questions are no, maybe it's time to like take a deeper look, you know. And I would love to be there with you to support you and encourage you and offer you a little bit of guidance in that. So send me a message. Website is finally getting done soon. I know I've been saying that for like 3 or 4 months. It's been a little slow. There's been some server disruptions. However, that's happening, so there'll be a lot more content on there too. My goal is to continue to give lots of free content. I will be going back doing podcast interviews. If there's a podcast you like and you think I would be a good fit for the material, please just let me know, and I would love to reach out. I really enjoy sharing, and that's why I do these lives for you. I already know what I know, you know. I love to share and give. I'm at the expression part in my phase, in my practice, after 15 years of doing what I'm doing professionally, not just in my personal life. I am very enthusiastic about sharing and giving away everything I've learned. So, if you're really into shamanic practices or not, then you can still benefit from the wisdom that is available for us all. And remember, shamanic practices are not location specific, they're not culture specific, they are human specific. It is a human heritage. So let's reclaim that. I know that our culture, especially in the modern West, has gotten really excited about ancient tradition and life way. Let's learn how to apply that to the modern world. It's not a then or now situation. It's all of it. Time is an illusion anyway, isn't it? So let me know what I can do for you and what topic you would like to hear about next, whether that is NLP hypnosis, language transformation, stress. I think our last topic was anxiety. A previous topic was on past lives. Love all of it. Shamanic traditions, magic, medicine work. So feel free, dreams, love dream topics. So feel free to let me know what you're into next. And I am already looking forward to hearing from you. And if you are excited about community, definitely hop in. I'll put some links in the description. So you can find a community that is also focused on growing and learning and being together and sharing. I think especially this last pandemic taught us how much we really do need each other. And a big part of the medicine wheel is the way we use it in our approach to our relationships, and they are so essential. So if you feel like you're lacking in that part, maybe it's something as simple as a change in communication. I recently just did a whole session with someone here in Chile, which was interesting. My Spanish isn't all that good, although estoy aprendiendo siempre, um, on just body language and subconscious communication and social cues, right? And this is something I had to learn being highly awkward myself. So I love to share all these types of topics. So whatever feels like alignment, go ahead and send me a message. If there's energy work or body language, yeah, I'm here for it. So whatever it is that you feel like would enrich your life, and of course, if it's something that I feel like is not my specialty, I'm happy to outsource you and with the beautiful network that I'm grateful to share in my path of other practitioners and healers and professionals who really know what they're doing in multiple languages. Con mucho amor y paz y bendiciones. I love you. I hope you have a beautiful night, morning, day, wherever you are. And maybe you can draw your own medicine map and see where you are with your own personal medicine and how it is you're showing up for yourself in the world. And I hope this is a practice that you can enjoy. And Miss Emma, I hope there was something useful. I don't see any questions from you, strangely. Just your pinguino. I love you, little bird. I'm happy to see you. I hope you get some rest. I know you need to sleep. And gracias a todo. Que tengan buena noche. Chao.